and wall, and already the Web Weaver is halfway dead. So they may not be able to get the fourth this time. The rest of Eclipse is coming up, and Flick of the Wrist might have been able to catch something out. Not quite sure there now. You guys will notice for the next turn-in, it's gone up by 5 for each of them. So just like with Blackheart's Bay, it goes up each time. And now we have Heroics for each team. D-Money getting pulled with the stun on him, but he's Diablo. He's deal a lot of damage, and now Divine Storm catches few people in. Here comes the Apocalypse. Azure Fire getting very low, trying to shield himself to stay alive. E-Dubs, Uther's the first one to drop. Now Stitches is trying to get out as well, but they're doing a lot of damage on him. D-Money wants to throw him back. I almost called him D-Dubs. Azure Fire gets pulled in, shields himself. Not sure if he has Dimensional Shift, but is able to get away thanks to the shields and heals from Malfurion. And they're going to be able to catch Tyrande and Uther without losing anybody on the side of Eclipse, and that should be a free turn-in.
Interestingly, Zagara, it almost looked like she wasted her Maw on just grabbing Tyrande, but she was there right outside that Maw to burst Tyrande down before Tyrande could do anything else, and managed to take her down, which really gave Zagara's team, Eclipse, an advantage there in the rest of that team fight. So well played on behalf of Zagara.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage because we talked about how the Hunter's Mark really helps with Jaina's burst potential, and also she really is one of the main damage dealers with the talents that she's selected too. So here come the Web Weavers for Team Blue, the Eclipse. They are going to try to get this top fort this time, and while we see them pushing, we'll go ahead and look at the Heroics really fast. We've got Archon for Tassadar, Apocalypse devouring Maw, Rain of Vengeance, Diablo throwing towels, who is going to get away, but they are going to pick up this fort, and Tranquility on the side of Eclipse. Meanwhile, we have Starfall, Water Elemental, Putrid Bile, Divine Storm, and Stage Dive for ETC. So actually we do see the Stage Dive.
Interesting. So I guess they're probably going to be counting on other stuns. They feel like they don't really need the Mosh Pit from ETC, which kind of makes sense. They do have stuns, like you said, on Uther and Tyrande, but we were assuming that the Stitches pull into the stuns was going to be a major play for them, so interesting to see that they don't feel like they need it.
Yeah, maybe they feel just between, like with the stuns from Uther and Tyrande, they really feel like they've got a lock on the stuns and can instead focus on making sure that ETC is right in the middle of the action where he needs to be. Now, they did finish up killing the Web Weavers, and now they're going to have to turn in 60 gems this time, and they've got this creep all over the center. This is really helping them make sure that they're positioned well. I'm sorry, I just punched the mic.
Be nice to Mike. Oh, the pull for Stitch is pulling Jim over the wall, but really joining Jim with the rest of his team, so it's not going to be very effective in terms of singling somebody out. Over the wall being a really great tactic for Radlock to use, but in that situation, maybe not quite so effective. Now grouping up as 5, Flick of the Wrist is going to be here in the mid lane, looking for a good engagement, but not quite finding one. D-Money feeling safe to kind of traipse around because D-Money is Diablo and doesn't need to worry too much about his health. The rest of Eclipse will join up as 5, and they may be willing to look for a team fight now as they do have level 13 talents, and Flick of the Wrist does not.
Not only that, but they really are pretty low on gems. That's also something to consider. Flick of the Wrist has a lot of gems on some of their heroes, and that's going to be difficult. Now here come D-Money and the rest of the crew down that corridor. D-Money does get pulled from the hook from Radlock. He's going to have to try to run away, is slowed by the fort. They're dealing a ton of damage to him. They do burst him down, and that'll be Diablo with that. Towels is going to slide in, try to get a lot of damage. CGGG does grab ETC with the Maw, so they're able to disengage, but now they're going to have to play it safe. They caught the Diablo, but Diablo did have enough souls, so he'll be right back. But this does give a little bit of breathing room for Flick of the Rest to finally be able to turn in and pick up their level 13 talents.
Absolutely, and they are going to grab this turn in. D-Money trying to contest as much as possible. Radlock saying, fine, I'll hook you into me, not being able to grab one, and still carrying around 24 gems. So Radlock can't be too comfortable with that, as they're going to want to turn that in. They do have the Web Weavers descending, though, at this point, and it looks like they're all turning their attention to the top lane. Oh, just kidding. They're going to turn back and go to the bottom. Jaina kind of being by herself there for a moment, which is never something you want. Okay, so they've decided on top. In this map, you just never know, man.
Yeah, bot was not really pushed. It's going to take a long time. They wanted to go for something that was already pushed. So they're coming up to this top lane. They would like to take a fort down. They have yet to get one yet. Not landing the hook with the stun. D-Money pushing in, trying to maybe throw somebody back, but just playing a little bit safe, giving his team time to take out the Web Weaver. Now they've already gotten the one down on top. Mid is already halfway down, so they're coming in. They're going to try to take it out as well. Just trying to get these down so that they're not having to fight on top of these web weavers dealing a lot of damage too. They actually do have kind of an area to the front of them attack. So now all they have to do is take down the bottom one, and then they will be all ready for the next phase.
The bottom web weaver being the one that actually ended up doing the most damage, even though it was not the one that was most pushed in, because it was ignored until just this moment. Is it going to take that last turret down? No, the last turret will remain. Nope, just kidding. It's going down. So being able to actually take down 2 turrets and a wall down there in the bottom, that's going to be a good feeling for Flick of the Wrist. Are they going to choose to engage here? They are equal talent levels, and we do see the Putrid Bile coming out, daring people to follow Stitches with his stinky, poopy butt.
Actually, they wanted to engage there, but the hook caught Azure Fire, who then had a sick dimensional shift, so that he actually didn't get hooked. But now he's not going to have one this time. Or, sorry, wasn't going to get stunned, but he actually did have it back up. So once again, dimensional shifting immediately so that he can't get stunned by either the Uther or the Tyrande. That's really saving his Protoss butt a bit.
Yeah, and again, like you mentioned, using those creep tumors for vision, knowing that they would have no trouble turning in, and they're going to get some web weavers of their own, so Eclipse will be looking to push now as they were just on the defense. They're going to have a pretty good time of it. They are at level 15. They're going to be looking soon at their level 16, so the momentum is in their favor right now. They've just got to choose which lane they think is going to be most effective. It looks like they're going to be hanging out on top, but looking toward the mid lane, and they're willing to engage with their opponent's Flick of the Wrist.
Well, Tal's actually a little bit out of position, and the hook not quite landing anywhere. And so they're just going to be pushing here in the mid, trying to throw damage on that fort while they can. Radlock will be looking to grab somebody here if they possibly can with E-dubs right behind to try to stun. They do take out the web weaver in mid. D-Money gets pulled, but the stun doesn't quite hit, and so he's going to be able to get away. The top web weaver is still pushing with no fort there. That's not too much of a concern right now. The bigger concern here is that Eclipse is still pushing in mid. They really want this mid fort, and this time they're going to get it.
Interesting to note that ETC with his stage dive was down bottom defending against that web weaver, assuming that probably the stage dive could get him into position to defend with the team fight if necessary, but not making the decision to join them yet, instead deciding to defend down there.
Yeah, it was heading straight for the wall here at Keep, and so they really wanted to make sure that they were splitting up just as much as they possibly could without taking damages. But something to note there too throughout was that the level 16 talents were there for Eclipse, while Flick of the Wrist is still only 15. So they really need to be pushing and trying to get their level 16 talents. But meanwhile, because they have to push everything back, Eclipse is just able to come right back and turn in, and they're actually going to try to engage here on Flick of the Wrist, who's trying to pick up the bruisers. Radlight getting somewhat low. E-dubs drops the Divine Storm, but is a little bit out of position. Radlight pulls GCG, but she's able to just drop a lot of damage right back onto him. Now Towels is getting very low, trying to take out Jim, who does go down. E-dubs also very low. Still nobody has capped this Merc Cam. The Starfall doing a lot of damage though. They're getting low, but they do maybe finally cap it as E-dubs goes down. Did they cap it? Oh, I didn't even notice that they capped it.
They did. Eclipse was able to capture that mercenary camp. Really interesting to see, like you said, these tiny little corridors. Anytime there's some damage going on in one of those, it effectively keeps the rest of the team out. So for example, when Diablo pulled that Apocalypse, Jaina and Tyrande were kept out of the fight for a moment while they waited for that to go down in that tiny little doorway, and even those few seconds was something that kept the damage off of Eclipse long enough for them to emerge victorious and push their way back through, grabbing that bruiser camp and being able to escape.
I tell you what though, that Starfall made me really nervous. It was doing a lot of work and they didn't want to leave because it was right on the capping point. Mm-hmm. So it was freaking me out a bit. I thought maybe that they were going to be able to turn the fight, but nope, Eclipse was able to just stay alive and keep through it, and they were able to steal those offensive bruisers.
Stitch is finally unloading those 36 coins that Radlock had been carrying around. That's got to feel good. You never want to carry that many things in this game.
Yeah, with Mercs pushing on both mid and bottom now, we see Eclipse going up for the boss. It's a great time. They can see where all 5 of the heroes of Flick of the Wrist are, or at least enough for them to determine they know where they're going to be. And that creep, too. Look where the creep is. They're going to probably see when they come up to them, so they're able to pick up that boss. Man, I have to tell you, with this creep, I really think that Zagara is the MVP of this game.
I think you're totally right because that boss is one that is a scary one to take. It can be easily stolen. You are kind of vulnerable in that tiny little box that it holds you in. So knowing that the enemy team is not going to come bother you is instrumental in taking that boss. And a boss of this strength on this map is going to be really, really important. As we see, they're going to push up behind it and look to engage here. They are a little bit ahead in experience, the same level of talents, but there are only 4 members of Flick of the Wrist here to defend against a boss and 5 members of Eclipse. ETC still staying in the bottom, but stage diving in to join the fight.
Here comes the stage dive. He's dealing a lot of damage to Jim, who's trying to get away pretty low. Oh my goodness, a clutch maw from Zagara actually allows them to deal so much damage to Towels and Bradlock. Once they come out, Jaina and Toronto go down so fast. Constant damage being dropped on them, and now with Uther, Jaina, and Taronda down, Eclipse are looking to win the game right here.
Yeah, Redlock and Towels being tanky are not necessarily going to die, but they're not going to be able to take out this whole team by themselves. So not being able to protect the Jaina or the Taronda together means that they're not going to be able to do enough damage to defend their core, and Eclipse will take the game.
First game of this best of 3 semifinals does go to Eclipse, but Flick of the Wrist have a chance to come back, of course, because it's a best of 3 here in the semifinals. So we will have another game on there soon. So here are the stats screen. Sorry I didn't leave it up in prior games before. Anna, what do you think about that last game? What were some of your highlights or your favorite parts of it?
Well, actually, Zagara is one of my favorite heroes. I end up playing her a ton. So I really like to see a map where her specialties are so important. So like you said, seeing the creep kind of be the MVP was really fun for me. I thought the Stitches hooks were also something that had potential to be really important in this game. But I think that maybe a little bit more burst damage as opposed to the amount of tankiness that we had for Flick of the Wrist might have better served that Stitches. I'm not sure because the Jaina Taronda burst damage is great, but I don't know. Maybe another healer instead of Uther. I'm not sure. But I love seeing the Diablo play from Eclipse. That kind of seems to be a linchpin of theirs. So I'm interested to see in this next game whether we see Diablo or maybe we see Flick of the Wrist knowing that Diablo is kind of a thing for Eclipse and being wary of playing with that. I love seeing how these team comps worked out because they were both a tiny bit unique. We've seen a couple heavy warrior or tank builds before, and they're always interesting and theoretically cool, but I've never really seen them pan out so well. So I think that it kind of goes to show that the multiple tank thing still has a ways to go to be figured out if it's going to be viable.
Yeah, I feel like they had a lot of lockdown potential for picking people out of the fight, especially when it comes to the hook. And then, of course, they had ETC with a possibility of mosh pit, although he did decide to go with the stage dive, and then Uther and Taronda with the stuns. They had a lot of potential for locking people down, and especially with the Divine Storm that Uther took, but not really being able to capitalize on that as much as I think they would have liked to. They did have Jaina who's very bursty, and even more so with the Taronda, but if Jaina gets taken out, then well, there's a problem there, and especially with that clutch maw at the end. Oh my goodness, people died so fast out of that. So that's something that they will have to take into consideration with the next game. But
yeah,
guys,
I think the stage dive, like you said, was a really good idea. Being able to defend against a web weaver in an opposite lane and then come join the fight when necessary was good in theory, but what it ended up doing was weakening the 4 members who were left over and not letting them do enough defensive damage against the web weavers in the lane they were in, and so it just kind of split the composition that otherwise may have had a little more cool synergy. So it would be interesting to see how mosh pit affected this, if they could pull into a mosh pit, for example. I'm not sure, but it was an interesting play, but just didn't quite work out this time.
Yeah, for sure. I think you've nailed it. We continue to await seeing the dual tank work, guys. We'll continue to cheer for you when you try it. But we'll have to see what Flick of the Wrist will do in the next game to try to pull it back and get the next win so that they can go into a Game 3 versus Eclipse here in the semifinals. Guys, we will be right back with that game just as soon as they make it, so stay tuned, and we'll see you soon. Hello and welcome back to the Heroes Hype Amateur Series. I am Gillyweed and I am joined by Anna as my co-caster. Hello, Anna.
Hi, Gilly. How you doing?
Oh, really excited for this next game.
I really liked that last game. Really interesting. The draft has already started, and Flick of the Wrist said, "Enough of your Zagara. We want her not," and they banned her right away.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be on Cursed Hollow, very similar aspects to our last map when it comes to close spaces where you're going to be attacking and corridors of terror, and that Maw could have been just as dangerous, so I like that. Enough is enough. And Eclipse going for a Zeratul ban, which is also not unheard of because Void Prison can do just sort of the same thing when it comes to fights on this map.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with getting all green and stunified. But someone who likes being green and likes putting green on other people is Rhaegar. That's going to be the first pick for Flick of the Wrist. The healing from green-faced Wolfman will be a priority for them.
The segues are real, Anna.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so first pick Rhaegar, not too uncommon, and even seeing that Eclipse has decided to go ahead and pick up the Illidan and then Vala as well. So it's kind of interesting. Sometimes you'll see an Illidan and then another team pick up the Rhaegar, but I like the bold, I don't care if you have Rhaegar, we'll get Illidan anyway.
Yeah, and really interesting too that Illidan has been banned against Eclipse in both games we've watched. So this is their first chance to play him, and they took it immediately. So we may see some really interesting Illidan play. Do you think we're going to see... We see ETC out of Flick of the Wrist, so they're not tired of their cow battleman. They're going to give him another shot. We'll see whether they're going to use him for mobility or for stun. That's yet to be revealed. Do you think we're going to see Diablo out of Eclipse, and do you think it's interesting... Well... I couldn't see Flick of the Wrist banning Diablo, but they definitely are going to have to be aware of how much Eclipse has used Diablo in the past. Do you think they're going to pick something against that? And they picked Jaina. Interesting. What do you think?
Well, they are definitely going for the burst damage once again with Jaina. And if they can keep Illidan off her / keep her alive with Illidan on her, then that will be good. She can do a lot of burst damage, and the slows from her frostbite trait can be really beneficial. And also the fact that she has some area type things with Blizzard, and then if she were to go Ring of Frost, that could be really cool to see in Cursed Hollow, where we're crushed in sort of these tight fighting places. But Eclipse is going to pick up Tassadar, so shields are going to be one thing that are really going to help this Illidan stay alive, and Vala as well, but we'll probably see them a lot on whoever we see Flick of the Wrist trying to target. And then I think they like Diablo, and there it is. I was going to say they like Diablo, and they haven't had any problems with them, so I would say keep, doing what works, and they did. They picked up Diablo.
Right, and they know that Rhaegar is already there as the main healer for Flick of the Wrist, so they're probably going to have their... a bright wing for you, Gilly, on behalf of Flick of the... A little bright wing to join Rhaegar for the healing. And then Sylvanas, as a last pick, is going to round out damage. So this time, Flick of the Wrist definitely saying, okay, we get it. We need to do some damage. They've got Sylvanas and Jaina and 2 well-equipped heals to keep them alive.
Now, man, I am going to be interested to see if we see an Emerald Wind to try to keep Illidan off of Jaina and really set sort of, if you've got really good Emerald Winds, you can sort of pull someone to you that your team can take out while pushing everyone else away, or if they'll just be going for the blink heal and we'll be having just straight up so many heals that Sylvanas and Jaina just cannot die, not to mention ETC. But Eclipse has gone ahead and picked up their Malfurion. Once again, they've got their full healer, and it's interesting because Malfurion doesn't really have... His heals are more over time, HOTS heals over time, instead of the straight up heals that you get like with a chain heal or the heals from Uther. So I'm interested to see how they do it, how they keep this Illidan alive. And we will see as we get ready to go into this Cursed Hollow game.
Yeah, they're really stacking up the damage on both teams. This is going to kind of be a bloodbath. It's going to be interesting to see whether the fact that Tassadar can do a bit of damage on his own, and I guess Rhaegar can, but it'll be interesting to see.
Illidan big head! It's killing me.
Oh, I can't wait to see that ponytail. The Tassadar ponytail is real in big head mode.
Well, I did see a great big head Illidan, but now Malfurion's like weird, I don't even know what you would call it.
Jiggling
wing, yes. Wing hand. It's like he's just sort of taped wings on with tape. Did you notice that? He's got hands but wings too, and they're like around, I don't even know.
Hey man, if you can't decide whether you're a bird or, you know, a bear or, you know, any other thing, just be all of them. Why define yourself? Why restrict yourself?
That's a great question that you've asked, you've posited to us. Let's think about that as we introduce the teams. Now this time for the blue team, they've switched sides. This is Flick of the Wrist. We've got E-Dubs on the Rhaegar, Lyricals on Jaina, Schooled on the Sylvanas, Radlac on the adorable big head Brightwing. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. And Towels as the ETC.
And in the red trunks, Team Eclipse, switching the colors up for us to make things really easy. Technic is on Malfurion, D-Money is on Diablo, CGGG is on Illidan, Jim will play Vala, and Azure Fire will take up the torch for Tassadar.
I don't know why, but I keep wanting to call CG.GG.
It does kind of look like .gg. And there is, I think, you know, there's EG.GG. Yeah.
Just throwing that in.
Yeah, that's a thing that exists out there in the world.
All right, so for now, we've got a party lane here in the mid, as we've got 3 from each team hanging out here. It's interesting, actually, to see them in mid, though.
Yeah, I mean, mid is closer to whatever tribute is going to spawn. You kind of split the difference between them, so I guess there's that, but I mean, you'll usually see that as a technique in the late game to be sure that you're not caught out of position for a tribute. Maybe it just kind of happened. We see that they're moving toward top lane, and they are going to be taking on CGGG by himself. Nope, just kidding. They like to trick us, Gilly.
That was a great call, I think. Right away, Eclipse said, Illidan, get back, and he did. He stayed safe. I think that they're just going to be looking to try to have people wherever Schooled is so that Sylvanas can't get too much of a push going. That's going to be really important. Diablo is coming up, maybe going to try to get something done here on Talos. He shadow charges in, is going to try to throw him back, but ETC is able to throw them back himself. And so far, no first blood here.
Eclipse letting Diablo and ETC battle it out, the giant battle cow devil people together in harmony. And we're going to see a lot of the bursty damaging going on down here in the middle. Malfurion having to run away from... these big heads are really confusing to get.
I know.
But yeah, party lane and the mid lane being something that our players are returning to. Brightwing holding it down here in the bottom against Tassadar. 2 supports kind of banging their heads together. They're giant big heads together.
Giant big heads. We do see Bribe actually from Brightwing. So Brightwing's going to be looking to try to get some quick merc camps to help to sort of put on the pressure when it comes to Eclipse. We'll probably see those often right around tribute times so that Eclipse has to choose between stopping merc camps and grabbing tributes as well, but we should have that first tribute spawning actually soon, and with that, Illidan is actually going to go and try to pick up these sieges to start off.
Tribute is going to spawn in the top lane. They've got 2 tanks up there ready to take it. Both of them fall back and grab just a little bit of health before they enter the fray. It looks like Flick of the Wrist is going to prioritize heading for that tribute. Illidan is down here grabbing the Siege Giants and maybe not making a run for it, while we do see the rest of Eclipse thinking about joining, but maybe they're not gonna take that bet. Jaina's gonna grab that first tribute. First tribute will go the way of Flick of the Wrist, but nothing will happen until either team has 3 tributes, so they're just gonna go back in lane, and Illidan is gonna keep grabbing those mercenaries for Eclipse, which is gonna give them a little bit of an advantage.
And actually, they were able to catch out Malfurion on the side of Eclipse. He was just a little bit far forward, and with a 4-man gank squad, they were, with Brightwing actually phase shifting in, they were able to take take him out. And now it looks like they might be heading down to bot. They just want to deal with those mercenaries that Illidan got, but he's already getting some more. Something interesting to note about talents is that we actually have Envenom on Sylvanas and on Brightwing, so they're going to be looking to really burst somebody down this time. So something that they were struggling with a bit last time, and for Flick of the Wrist, they're going to be able to do very quickly with that. And then 2 healing wards on the side of Eclipse.
Interesting. Yeah, Brightwing they're definitely looking to make Brightwing do some damage and help with the pushing with those talent choices. Very interesting. And on the other hand, Healing Ward coming out for Eclipse, making sure that they have enough healing to keep their Illidan nice and healthy.
Yeah, and actually healing wards don't stack, so they'll be looking to either just make sure that there's a lot of area where they can heal, or being able to put one down when another one is targeted down on the side of Flick of the Wrist. And Eclipse is going to be able to pick up that tribute. Flick of the Wrist actually isn't even going for it, though it was on their side of the map pretty easy, but they just wanted to pull ahead and experience a little bit, and you see that they're doing that. They're almost to level 8.
Mm-hmm. And in this case, you've got big lanes that are far away from each other, so gaining experience by being in those lanes is really important.
Yes,
Looks
definitely.
like Jim getting really low, barely not being able to make it out of that fight. Vala will go down, and Flick of the Wrist celebrating in this lane. They have 5 people in this party lane, and they're going to keep that pressure up. Sylvanas is going to darken those towers, make them less powerful, and it looks like they will take out at least one of these turrets. D-Money jumping in, but not really having anything to follow up that jump with, and having to retreat back behind the wall. Malfurion trying to keep Diablo healed up, but without the damage to kind of follow up, they're not going to be able to do much to stop this push. Brightwing being pulled behind the wall, and that is never a situation you want to be in. Even with the portability of Brightwing, she will go down.
So they do pick up at least one person off of Flick of the Wrist, which helps them even back up in experience, but they have lost quite a bit here in that front. Now, Illidan did get rather low here on bot. Rhaegar and Jaina came for him, but he was able to get away, and he'll be able to hopefully hit the well. Nope, he's got a little bit left, it seems, before they'll be able to. And here comes the next tribute, and they're tied at 1-1 with neither team quite having the level 10 talents yet, although very likely could get it in the middle of this fight.
Very interesting, too, that mid tower has just a tiny sliver of health left. That was quite a push there. Looks like Flick of the Wrist is going to be ready to jump into this fight, all 5 of them, but the concave of Eclipse is going to be ready to take them as well. CGGG being caught out alone. You never want an Illidan by themselves if you can avoid it, and the damage hit to Eclipse is going to be big in this fight. Diablo staying out in front, but not having the damage of Illidan, they're going to be at a disadvantage. They are staying a little bit back, knowing that.
They are just trying to continue to poke. Now Talos has been pushed in, but fortunately Jim taking a lot of damage, the primary damage dealer there, having to get back in. Now they've pushed everyone back. Azure Fire is trying to shift the missile shift away, but he's going to get caught. Technic might go down. Yes, Azure Fire does get away with the shields, but they've got Malfurion this time, and Vala as well. Illidan's got to get out of there. He's going to jump away, going to start taking a lot of hit, and actually...
Whoa, Illidan dies again!
Yikes! Damage! And that's what happens when the level 10 talents come up in the middle of a fight. They can totally shift a fight. Now, the level 10 talents are up for Eclipse as well, but if you notice, the Brightwing had the bribe just quickly grab those sieges, and that's something that they're going to instantly have to deal with.
We do see that Brightwing did take the Emerald Win, so like you said, that separation or the being able to keep people off of the damage dealers is going to be really instrumental here. It can also push people off of all sorts of other things you don't want them to be on, such as structures and tributes.
Yes, in addition to that, we've got Wailing Arrow, as always, for Sylvanas, another Water Elemental for Jaina, Stage Dive, and Ancestral Heal. And on the side of Eclipse, we've got Apocalypse Metamorphosis, Reign of Vengeance, Archon, and actually Towels getting thrown away. That wasn't a heroic, that was just telling you what was happening in the fight. And Malfurion actually hasn't chosen yet, but I'm guessing that will be Tranquility, although probably will want to pick that for this fight. Just maybe waiting to see what happens. They are going to probably be able to zone here and pick this up, and that's going to make it a 2-2 tribute. And now the next one is going to be scary.
Very interesting. I don't know that I've ever noticed someone wait that long to take the level 10 talent, but Tranquility is the pick for Technic. Malfurion will be doing all sorts of healing.
Yeah, sometimes it can just be in the heat of battle, or sometimes it can just be where you're waiting to see what you're going to need for this next particular fight. But going ahead and picking up the Tranquility, that'll be good, because as you can see, he's going to need the healing to keep up against the burst potential, especially from that Jaina.
Both bosses are sitting here lonely, just wanting somebody to come fight them. So that may give an advantage to whatever team is willing to take that next step. Looks like all of Flick of the Wrist was headed toward bot, and the tribute spawned right behind them. So Eclipse is going to be in a fairly good position once Diablo joins them to contest there. And Flick of the Wrist is going to be close, not moving in as quickly together as I expected. And that may be a problem for them positioning-wise.
Woo, Lyrical's is a little bit taking a lot of damage now. Here comes CG with the Metamorphosis, and Apocalypse actually stops it so CG can do a lot of damage, but he's taking a lot of damage on his own. Azure Fire with the Archon trying to deal a lot of damage, especially since they are in close spaces, but D-Money actually getting very, very low in his health. They do have the healing ward that's healing them up. They haven't died yet. They're trying to heal up. Metamorphosis is over now, and it looks like Towels actually is going to go back. So with this, I believe Flick of the Wrist is saying, all right. Oh no, actually just healed up and came right back in with the stage dive. Brilliant. Was not able to pick up the tribute. Look, they're basically healed back up, Eclipses. It looks like maybe they're just still going to posture here. Neither one wants to let the other one go. Meanwhile, there are minions that are pushing in here at mid, so that's something that Flick of the Wrist has to be aware of. They are trying to pick up this tribute. It's such a hard position to try to get into because of these rocks here.
Yeah, maybe Eclipse being content to say, like, yeah, sure, just stay here and keep trying to grab the tribute. We'll just keep poking on you. And what will happen in the meantime is that mid lane will get pushed, and Illidan going up to take over the damage. Vala joining as well, so really wanting to kind of burst down these structures, maybe saying we don't really care that much if you get the tribute, but actually leaving enough people here to keep teasing and keeping that tribute out of the hands of Flick of the Wrist while they're inflicting damage on that mid lane, which is right next to the tribute, luckily for them.
Flick of the Wrist has the level 13 tributes now and quickly takes out Malfurion. The Emerald Wind is a ton of work. Diablo goes down next. Illidan is far out of position. He's going to try to get a lot of damage on Radlock, but he's all by himself right away. No, he's gone. Illidan's gone. And now Jim and Azure Fire are the only survivors. Diablo is back up thanks to his souls, but with that, they will give the curse by means of can't get it to Flick of the Wrist, who will pick up the first curse and are going to go straight for this fort in mid.
Yeah, all 5 of them going for this push. So Tassadar coming in and saying, please stop, please don't hurt our buildings. Not being able to do much by himself, waiting for the rest of his team to join him, which they will. They know they need to defend here. Although Diablo, D-Money being up top, maybe looking to make sure that they're soaking experience. Not sure.
Yeah, something to note in that fight, guys, was that Eclipse knew that Flick of the Wrist was about to hit the level 13, which meant they would be up a talent tier, and so they went up to try to take out that fort and get the level 13 talents as well, but they weren't able to quite do so, and so with the level 13 talents, that really gave Flick of the Wrist a favorable engagement there. On top of the positioning, we talked about that rocky positioning. It's so difficult to try to engage into if that's the not on your side. And so instead, we see that Eclipse is going to try to come pick up their boss. Flick of the Wrist is content to do the same, so they're going to be trading golems here.
Yeah, both bosses not feeling so lonely anymore, getting to play around with their friends. Both of them will push, so it'll be interesting to see whether either team will decide to push alongside their golem or whether both will go defend against the opposing golem.
Now it is something to note that they do have no more forts left on the side of Eclipse, but there are still 2 left on the side of Flick of the Wrist. But Flick of the Wrist has a bit of a tough time now because any of the next tributes will mean curse, so they're really going to have to be watching out for those tributes, and then of course either choosing when to be cursed or never. They have to win every team fight to make sure that they don't get it, or Eclipse will be able to quickly come back in terms of structures.
They're in a good position for that, though, because they are not too far off from their level 16 talents. So they're prepared for this next team fight, and making sure that they don't get cursed is something they will be interested in. It looks like just ETC defending against the boss here top, and the rest going for a push in the bottom, which is doing some serious work alongside those Siege Giants. They will eventually back up, though, not wanting to overcommit and knowing that they have the momentum at this moment, wanting to keep it. Although, interesting that they are not looking harder for a team fight, maybe wanting to wait till all 5 of them are together.
Yeah, you know, fort versus curse is a great trade to make. Or fort versus keep, I'm sorry. So they did start putting damage on the keep. They didn't quite get it, but it is open and available to attack should they win an upcoming team fight. Wailing Arrow does drop in there. Illidan does get away, and now ETC is coming in. This is a crazy place to try to fight into. There comes the Apocalypse, gets a lot of people. School getting very low, but does get healed up. And now E-Dubs is the next one to be very low, is going to have to run away, but D-Money also losing a lot of health, as is CG. They're trying so hard to keep them both up, but it's so difficult. Diablo is the first one to die, and now they're all going to leave. Remember, they did not have their level 16 talents there, whereas Flick of the Wrist had them the entire time. So although Eclipse does at least get the Knights there, so that is at least small victory.
Really interesting. I thought for sure CGGG was going down, but the slipperiness of Illidan and apparently the healing prowess of Malfurion kept that from happening. Only Diablo goes down, even though there was a lot of low health on that side. Really proving how Illidan is quite powerful these days.
Oh yeah, he's so powerful. Now, they don't have Diablo for another 3 seconds, and it looks like Flick of the Wrist really wants to capitalize on this. Brightwing actually teleporting right into the fight from just a little bit away, but really just wanting to make sure that Brightwing was there. Now Jim is taking quite a bit of damage from Jaina, and School is going to back up, and it looks like this next tribute, oh my goodness, they were so close at capping it, but a Psy Storm stops them. Once again, Flick of the Wrist is going to try to cap this while zoning, and this time they go ahead and grab it, and now they're going to get away.
Yeah, and like we said, they are going to be very interested in preventing a curse, especially when there's no other better advantage for them to take. So in this case, they felt pretty safe doing that. They're now going to fall back and defend their lanes that are getting a little bit pushed while they were busy doing that, but nothing too threatening. We'll see if they grab their Siege Giants on the way. Looks like indeed Schooled will grab those alongside Lyrical. And the bottom lane looks like it's going to be threatened by Eclipse, so they're going to have a long way to run if they want to go down and contest that.
Yeah, they really just need to try to come back in this by just getting the structures back to about even, and then they're also trying to just catch up a little bit in experience. Something interesting to note is both Illidan and Vala took blood for blood, so they're going to be able to just target down targets even faster by throwing that both on the same person. But whether they'll be able to do it with Illidan so far up in the front and Vala in the back will remain to be seen.
Yeah, it looks like Flick of the Wrist being very interested in pursuing Eclipse across the map, really looking to engage with them at these Siege Giants, really being unafraid and wanting to take advantages, push them back before this next tribute spawns, which it does in the top lane. But it doesn't look like Eclipse is going to be able to run and grab it without going through Flick of the Wrist first.
Yes, Wailing Arrow didn't quite hit anybody. Now there goes CGGG on Schooled. Is going to metamorphosize in, but Brightwing taken out very fast thanks to the Rain of Vengeance. Illidan doing work on Jaina, who is going to be able to sprint away at such a low amount of health, but Towels is right behind, and unfortunately is maybe going to still get away, is trying to, and finally Rhaegar drops the heal on Jaina, and she's able to turn around and take out Illidan. And meanwhile, it seems that ETC was still running away. ETC man, do you have stage time? Oh no! Oh, he did make the team chase him for a long time, so it's 4v3. But because of that chase, they're actually not going to be able to get to the tribute in time. This tribute once again is going to go to Flick of the Wrist.
Yeah, sometimes you have to be aware of those things where you're like, I'm going to die, but if I run this way, it'll pull them farther away from my team, which is going to get an advantage I really want. So who knows whether that was conscious or whether running the wrong direction was in panic. Who knows? But in that case, it worked for ETC. And Flick of the Wrist now is tied for tribute, so the next one will be a curse. They've been in this position since the last curse, so if they get another one, that's got to be a devastating hit to morale for Eclipse.
Yeah, they've done a really great job. Man, I thought for sure Jaina was dead, but she was just barely able to get away, sprinted away with a sliver of health, and then finally was able to leap back up with Rhaegar, who blessed her with an ancestral heal that was very, very much needed, and then she was able to just turn around and blast down Illidan. So kind of unfortunate there for Illidan. It was kind of like, oh, I've got her for sure, and then it's a trap.
Yeah, I thought for sure she was dead as well, but really smart. And obvious great teamwork of Rhaegar saying, wait, I'll come heal you, come back into the fight, being able to melt Illidan down right there. Both teams will send a boss against each other, and the next tribute will spawn. We know that both teams really want this tribute, but they're both also wanting to defend against the bosses, so making the hard decisions. It looks like Flick of the Wrist is going to go immediately toward the tribute. Illidan is going to grab some mercenaries before heading over there, which might not be a good idea on behalf of Eclipse.
This, once again, we're back in this position, which is very unfortunate for Eclipse, and also that boss is straight up on keep, whereas the other one still has the wall to go through on the side of Flick of the Wrist. So unfortunately, they really are going to have to get the tribute here to make it count. They're going to lose the keep. They just lost the keep. That boss is headed for 4, and now Tails is coming in, drops the Apocalypse. They do get Radlac very quickly killed down, and now with Metamorphosis, Illidan is coming in trying to get Jaina, who is healed, but didn't really quite need the Ancestral Heal quite yet. Now they're pushing Towels away. D-Money is going to try to pick up this tribute. E-Dubs is just trying to stop him now, but might get cut out of position for that. They really, really want this curse. They need it. They have to get it now. They've sacrificed their keep for it, and they do pick it up, but the shield is down on the core. That Golem is doing a lot of damage. They've got to make something work here with this push.
Yeah, that was do or die for them, but it still might be die even though they did, as the core goes down to 57%. So they, like you said, they have to keep this push going because they are not in a good position to fall back right now.
They are taking out this keep very quickly, but in 10 seconds, Brightwing is going to be back up in an Emerald Wind here. Could throw them into a terrible position as they try to go into core. They're not going to. They're going to leave. They're going to try to push into maybe this bottom keep, but looks like they're actually moving back and forth a bit. Not quite sure what to do here. It's quite a tough position to be in. You want to capitalize on the curse. They're not quite sure what to do.
It looks like they are using that curse to take down that bottom lane, so doing damage to structures. Although right now they don't want to be damaging structures. They want to push their way into the core, and they are being blocked by Flick of the Wrist. So many ultimates going off, and Emerald Wind being able to push them back and saying, no, you shall not pass on behalf of Brightwing.
And also a Wailing Arrow just keeps Malfurion from really being able to do anything but waddle away, and that's not going to help him. So he also drops, that's 3 people down for 50 seconds, and look what Flick of the Wrist are doing. They are heading straight up the bottom lane where that Golem pushed, and they're going for core.
Do you think Eclipse, I mean, they know now, but I wonder if they expected this. Only D-Money is there to defend, who's a great tank, but is not going to do tons of damage. If Jaina can stay away from that Apocalypse, which she does, she's going to be able to do tons of damage, and the rest of the team is keeping Diablo away from her. The core must go down here.
Oh yes, they've got it. Tassadar went in, Stride wasn't able to do much to the core, so instead just went and tried to jump in to the Nexus. And that'll be a win for Flick of the Wrist, who's brought it back, and now we are 1-1 in the semifinals. That's awesome.
Yeah, very exciting set of matches. Really cool to see such competitive play here in the semifinals. Really interesting to see Eclipse, who we've seen kind of dominate over the last 2 games that we play, be put a little bit in their place by Flick of the Wrist. Being able to play that Illidan, we got to see that Illidan play, but Flick of the Wrist definitely did a lot of things to put that Illidan in check as well.
Yeah, I just feel like it was so hard to keep everyone alive. They did such a great job of it in the last game, but that's because they had Rhaegar. They had the Ancestral Heal. This time they had several people who needed to be kept up, mainly Illidan and Diablo, but it was very difficult for Malf to do that as much this time. Even with epic healing numbers, it was tough. It was really seemed like, in my opinion, more heals.
Really, like you said, I think Rhaegar is kind of showing up as an MVP in a lot of these fights, a really quality support that can really change the tides and kind of take attention away from where it should be. You know, if you're looking at a character that you think is almost dead and you're turning your attention to find out who to kill next, and all of a sudden that character is very healthy and not dead at all, that really changes kind of your positioning and strategy. So that's something that Eclipse really had to deal with here. Jaina and Sylvanas together doing so much damage. And then I love seeing Brightwing really helping out in this game, especially like you said with that Emerald win. And the bribe, I think, came into play, especially in that early game too.
Yeah, I thought that the bribe was so cool using it when they pushed up that bottom lane, and then we're just like, oh well, we happen to be passing by these sieges. We might as well just grab them. We got the bribe stacks. So yeah, really making sure to use that bribe to their full advantage. That's really, I think most people agree, the best talent for level 1 Brightwing anyway. There's a couple of other things you can kind of make work there, but if you've got a map where you've got quite a bit of mercs, it's really beneficial and that type of thing, especially when you can phase shift in. And that's another thing. I really cannot stress how awesome it was to make sure that they had Brightwing there for every fight with a phase shift, as well as ETC with the stage dive. They had such great map presence on such a big map, which really helped them out.
Yeah, there aren't a whole lot of characters that can get anywhere on the map very, very quickly, and those are a couple of them together on the same team. So especially on this map where you don't know where the team fight is going to be until you need to be there right now, that's a really good thing to have.
I agree. So let's see. We'll have to figure out what will be the next map for this next game. Any final thoughts on the game before we go to break?
Man, I'm just excited to see what these teams will come up with next because they seem to kind of be learning each other's playstyles and counterpicking each other. So I'm excited to see what we'll see next time. I assume we're going to see some more Diablo play, which I've really been enjoying. We'll see if Zagara gets banned again, and if not, I hope we'll see her as well. And I don't know, just can't wait for the next match, Gilly.
Ditto. Well, guys, we will take a break, and then we will be back with the final game, so stay tuned.
It was actually extra fun because I'm reacting your reaction as well.
I'm willing to use it. Yeah, I guess I can do it. I would just have to ask you how, so if you don't mind doing it.
Did you take the dogs out?
Yes.
can, but my mind is free to sail across terabytes of reality, to soar above a pixel land in a rocket ship. The 9999 made of megabits. Ladies and gentlemen, leave the world and bring your friends. Step inside and close the door. Shut it out, plug it in, press start and we're flying. No use for your wars and stuff, 'cause we build digital castles in the sky as we float on timeless satellites. 'Cause virtual is where we live, live, live. 'Cause virtual is where we live, live, live. 'Cause virtual is where we live, live, live. 'Cause virtual is where we live, live, live.
Hello and welcome back to the Heroes Hype Amateur Series. I am Gillyweed, one of your casters, and my co-caster here with me tonight is AnnaProsser Robinson. Hello, Anna. Your mic is on silent again.
I am shamefaced. What's up, Gilly? Let's go to game 3 in the semifinal match of the Heroes Hype Amateur Series. They're already drafting.
Yes, and by the way, guys, we know that GOAT Gaming beat Backlash in the other semis, so the winner of this game will be facing GOAT Gaming in the finals. That's the second show for GOAT Gaming in a row, as they were there last week as well, and they won, actually, last week as well. So let's hop into the draft here on Sky Temple.
Ooh, a Sky Temple. That'll be a fun one. We've had a lot of the close quarters type of matches. This one is going to be a large spaces kind of match. So we already see bans coming out for Illidan and Rhaegar, who are great together, but no, they are going to be star-crossed lovers this time. They will not get to play together, and they will not get to play at all. Instead, Jaina will be first pick for Flick of the Wrist, and ETC for Eclipse. Interesting, because Eclipse usually plays Diablo and does it very well. So they're snatching the ETC this time, not wanting Flick of the Wrist to have it. Why?
Well, I think that the ability to jump anywhere on the map cannot be undersold, because this is a huge map, and that will come in really handy. I really like the Rhaegar ban. I think that this is really cool so far. We've seen Eclipse use him, obviously, to fruition in winning games, but then also losing when Flick of the Wrist had him. So I like this idea of, like, fine, we're not going to take him, but you don't get to either. He's gone. And Flick of the Wrist is answering so far with a Tassadar and another pick here in a second.
So really prioritizing the Tassadar, I wonder, there's a lot of things that Tassadar can kind of do well on this map. What do you think they're looking to use him for?
I think, so for those of you who haven't seen this map yet, there are 3 temples on the map that you have to stand on, and as you stand on them, then they will attack your enemy's structures. But while you're standing on them, different minions will pop out, and then of course your enemy teammates will be coming in to try to attack you, to get you to stop standing on the temples so that they can have them and attack the structures as well. So Tassadar, of course, gets a healing ward, which is beneficial. Also is really good at clearing waves of minions, which is very beneficial when you're just hurrying to try to turn around a lane as well. And then with Sylvanas, they're going to be really just taking advantage of her push potential, as well as her Wailing Arrow and Team Bites.
Yeah, interesting to see what Eclipse is going to pick up here, because they've been their Mighty Ducks strategy is one that I really liked. So what are they going to use to complement ETC? It looks like Tyrande is going to come out. So just like Flick of the Wrist, prioritizing their 0.5 support. And now they're going to be looking probably for a full-on healer. They can't have Rhaegar, that's already been banned. They're looking for a full-on healer and probably also some more damage. They have used Zagara to great effect in the past, although I'm not sure whether they're going to want her on this map. Flick of the Wrist did ban her for them last time, but may not be as worried about her on a map with lots more space. Although, again, vision is something that, like you said, cannot be undersold too. So who knows what we might see coming out of Eclipse.
I do have a prediction that we are going to have an Uther this game, and I wouldn't mind Zagara on this map, to be completely honest, because Starfall is going to be really awesome in zoning when you're fighting around those temples, and a Maw could really help set the stage, not only for you trying to escape when you've got a bunch of heroes coming in, but more importantly, to try to set the stage so that you can set up a good fight for your team. But they are going to pick up the Malfurion here for Eclipse. So once again, going with Malfurion, even though wasn't quite what the healing I think that they were looking for with the Illidan, I think they're hoping that they'll have more success here with the Tyrande Malfurion.
That makes a lot of sense. I like seeing Tyrande and Malfurion together, even if it's just because they match so well. They look so pretty next to each other. But,
thematically, it also works.
Yeah. We always like that here in Heroes of the Storm. Flick of the Wrist, though, gets to choose their last two. They're probably going to be looking for a full-on healer as well. They want to keep Jaina especially very healthy, and Sylvanas, of course, very squishy as well. So they're going to have to make sure that they've got someone to protect them and take all the damage. They're going to be looking for a tank as well as a healer, almost definitely, unless they've got something crazy up their sleeve, in which case I would be worried for them. ETC has already been picked. It's fairly, we could definitely see them picking up a Diablo. It seems to be the two tanks that are the tanks of choice these days. But do you predict anything else for them?
It's hard to, well, there's your main healer.
Again.
And last map we saw how important mobility and map presence was and being able to be where you need to be. And Brightwing helped them with that, and she's going to be helping them again with that. This is the biggest map in the map pool, and being able to have her phase shift anywhere, not only that, but being able to go back and heal and come right back in the fight. Like we saw ETC do one time with the stage dive. Like, hold on, guys. You guys keep posturing. I'm just going to go heal up really fast. We'll be right back in here. Brightwing's able to do cool things like that, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Mobility and vision are two things that are really, really important. And I just lost the draft because I was clicking around. There we go.
They're dipping into this time pool, really trying to figure out who to have for a tank, though. It's giving them some concerns or something.
Well, and it is their last pick, so they have the time. I don't know that there's too much wiggle room unless they really want to be a little crazy, which they're willing to do. We've seen them do some interesting things. But only 14 seconds remaining. We have to think that maybe they have something crazy planned. Nope, just kidding. They just wanted to troll us. April Fools. And
I think they were probably at least considering the idea of stitches. Man, I don't know. But they didn't really have any sort of stuns to follow up on hooks. So Diablo looking to be a really good choice there. They just pick him up. He's so tanky. That will be nice. He can throw people into range of his other damage dealers as well. And now Eclipse is left with one final pick. Who do you think it's going to be?
Well, they need a little more damage, so it's going to be Titan, Billy.
They don't even let us consider.
Well, obviously that's what I was going to say, so they go ahead and pick Tychus. That's going to round out the damage. These are two fairly standard-ish team comps, which is fun to see. I haven't seen a lot of Brightwing, but we're definitely seeing a lot of usefulness for her right now after this patch. So other than that, things that we're really used to seeing, this 1.5 support kind of composition, 2 great damage dealers, and 1 solid tank. Sylvanas and Jaina are really hot right now. They're super in, they're on trend. So Flick of the Wrist definitely has that on their side. But Vala has been solid since the very beginning. She's nothing to be sneered at, and Tychus pairing with her does a fair amount of damage. So it's not like they're out damaged necessarily. So this will be a nice fair fight. Wow, big head Jaina.
I know, right? Sylvanas right next to her. The the siege damage that we've been seeing from a lot of the Valas too has been really good, which is on this map especially so good because, of course, your buildings, your structures are your health. So things like Sylvanas pushing and siege damage can be really, really important here.
Looking forward to getting into this match. Again, this will decide who will go up against GOAT Gaming in the finals. And these two teams, we've watched Eclipse quite a bit today. So if you are rooting for Eclipse, you know, block out the sun a little bit. If you're rooting for Flick of the Wrist, flick your wrists right now. We'll see who's going to make it to the finals. Only Gilly can see me, what I'm doing.
Some pretty sweet dance moves that you're missing out on, guys. I apologize for that.
In your head, just imagine the coolest looking thing someone could be physically doing with their body, and that's obviously what I was doing.
The coolest. Nothing like any lame sort of dance move or anything like that.
No, I don't do dorky things at all, ever. Which is why I play video games for a living. But guys, we will be getting right into this match as soon as everybody is ready. And this will be on Sky Temple, which is a newer map, not as new as Tomb of the Spider Queen, but going to be really fun. There are 3 temples that these players are going to try to claim as their own. If they do, they get to shoot this laser at their opponents. And that does lots and lots of damage. They do not want that to be turned against them. But while they're trying to claim these temples, there are going to be guardians that will spawn and try to push them off of it because they are arcane guardians of the sacred laser lights. And while that team is dealing with those, usually other teams like to go and help those guardians in their mission to kill the temple stealers. So a lot of team fighting, a lot of skirmishes going on around these temples, and they will spawn in different orders at the top, middle, and bottom of the map. So we have in blue Azure Fire on Tyrande, and this is Eclipse in blue because they like to switch back and forth. D-Money not on Diablo this time on ETC. CGGG playing Tychus, Jim controlling Vala, and Technic will take on Malfurion.
Really liking that giant head Tychus on the Rainbow Unicorn, just making my day. And then, of course, we have Flick of the Wrist with Lyricals on Jaina, Tells on Diablo, Radlac on the Brightwing, once again Schooled on Sylvanas, and E-Dubs on the Big Head Tassadar. Guys, they are playing for their tournament life. The winner of this will go on to face GOAT Gaming in the finals. The loser of this is going home, or possibly to the loser's bracket if they choose. That's up to them. But here we go. We're on Sky Temple, and we'll have to see where people choose to lane. Typically, you just keep one person each in bottom because the first 2 temples to spawn will be mid and top, and it looks like that's what they're both going to do.
Yeah, and teams are really going to look for what advantages they might be able to take if they can do some damage to strategic structures to make sure that the first temple will do the maximum amount of damage. That's going to be something they're looking to do. They're also going to want to make sure that they're gathering experience. Oh! ETC falling. I didn't see that. What happened, Gilly?
D-Money was really far up, and we actually saw E-Dubs, Lyricals, and Schooled all head up to catch him out. And Diablo just kind of made him bide his time, and they were able to stop him. So that's going to be first blood here. And Azure Fire actually taking a lot of damage as well. Brightwing is going to come in to try to maybe help with that, but they're able to, Toronto's just able to get away, and so right now it will just be 1-1. Now Brightwing is really effective here because she's able to teleport up whenever they want to take a temple, so it's going to be really helpful here. D-Money is going to come in, instantly has to get away. That is a full 5-man stack from Flick of the Wrist there as we head into the first temple phase.
Yeah, they've got the vision, so they are able to watch their back a little bit, and Eclipse staying in the area, but definitely not being able to contest. They're going to be looking to grab that top shrine instead. D-Money will be there on his own, able to probably take on this Temple Guardian by himself. But that mid-temple is going to be doing lots and lots of damage. That's something that Eclipse wish was not happening right now. Tyrande kind of running around in circles like, no, stop it, don't hit my tower.
Something important to note here, though, is that Flick of the Wrist pretty much had been staying at the temple while Eclipse had just quickly went and started to sit in lanes to pick up experience while holding that top. that top temple. So they're able to get a little bit on the experience lead, but now we see that Flick of the Wrist, once they noticed where everyone from Eclipse was, is doing the same thing. A lot of people don't often realize that when it's safe to do so, a really good idea is to just have one person hold a temple and have your other teammates continue to sit in lanes and soak, especially at the early phases of the game like this.
We see that both teams are pretty even in experience at this point. Flick of the Wrist making sure to grab some Siege Giants down here in the bottom. And they will be successful doing that. It looks like Eclipse is staying in lanes, like you said, being careful to make sure their experience stays high. They are a tiny smidge ahead right now. Be interesting to see. They are going to grab their Siege Giants as well. So very neck and neck at this point in the game.
Now the next temple that will spawn will be the sole one on bottom, which means we'll start to see some rotations and also see people try to take merc camps, especially these bruisers, as it gets close to that temple spawning. That's so if they can time it right, it will be so that their enemy team has to either make the decision to go for those or go down for the temple. Oftentimes we see both teams taking them, which is what's happening here, so they'll just kind of counter push against each other and people can focus on that bottom temple.
Absolutely. Brightwing holding it down against these Siege Giants here. Radlock on Brightwing, but actually going ahead and transporting away to help here in the mid lane where we've got a 5-man push going on actually.
Yep, Towels was able to pick up ETC and throw him just back in time so that Schooled, Radlock, Lyricals, and E-Dubs was able to take out ETC, and they're putting a lot of damage here on this fort actually. Azure Fire being the only one to defend, and remember with Schooled's hero trait, that black arrow makes it so where a structure cannot attack this fort, can't attack anything. They're going to take down a fort here before the second temple phase even.
Wow, really incredible. And the bottom temple will spawn now all by itself, so all attention is going to be focused here. All players are heading down that direction, and it looks like the red team, Flick of the Wrist, has the advantage in terms of positioning, and they may be able to zone out Eclipse as only 2 of their players are here. Now are going to be joined by the rest, but they are in a good position to take this temple as long as they don't do anything silly.
Yeah, they were actually able to take out a tower that put them a little bit ahead of it. Brought them up, I should say, in experience, but notice that there are some bruisers pushing on top. Now Technic's taking a lot of damage, but so is Lyrical. Has the shield from Tassadar, trying to get away. So close to getting that D-money on him, but Azure Fire, meanwhile, is being chased by Schooled, Radlock, and Towels will drop, and that's Tirana down now. Jim's trying to get away, does get the vault, but CGGG taking a lot of damage as well, and he is going to go down mid-throw from Diablo. And that's going to mean that he'll be taken down. And now with 2 people down, this temple is going to go uncontested in favor of Flick of the Wrist.
Yeah, we mentioned when we were on Tomb of the Spider Queen how difficult it is to fight in a box like this when there are very few entry points. There's only 2 entry points to this bottom temple, and so Flick of the Wrist doing a great job of recognizing, like, okay, we're under attack here. We've got to move out away from the temple, which is counterintuitive because it's what we want. But we've got to take the fight elsewhere, win the fight out there, and then come back and take the temple because this one is one where we have to know we're safe.
The 2 places where people are going to have a big difficulty when it comes to positioning, like you said, are this bottom temple and then this boss. Those are the most perilous places on this map. This temple, every other temple has multiple ways of trying to get in and out when you're in danger, but these only have those 2 bushes on top, and that can make it really, that can really turn a fight. We'll just say that.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned this boss because it's one of my most interesting, anomalies or special parts of a map where this boss has changed so many games right before my eyes where I thought one team had it, they stole the boss from the other team in mid-capture and then won the game off of that. So this boss is one where you really have to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can take it before you start attacking it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now D-Money was having a little tank v tank fight with Towels, but now everyone else has come up. They're pushing as 5. They can do that. They've got the level 10 Talons. They're actually already 11, while Eclipse is just trying to get their level 10, which they just now got. But that meant they were in lane trying to gather experience, and so they're not here to really contest the taking of this fort, which with Sylvanas' trait is going down so fast, and that will be yet another fort for Flick of the Wrist.
Yeah, absolutely. Jaina and Sylvanas together dealing out so much damage, and as long as they're staying in position behind the tank and they're getting the healing they need from Brightwing, So those close quarters, as much as they can on this very large map, they're going to be in a great position to do tons of work. Also, I've noticed Eclipse is not staying as much together as Flick of the Wrist, which is interesting because that's been a strength that I've seen from them before. So we'll see if that changes as we move toward the late game. Both teams now having their heroics. Do we see anything interesting there, Gilly?
Well, ETC does have the stage dive, so he's able to counter push a little bit as long as his team doesn't get taken out before he can stage dive in. Of course, Starfall, Odin, Strafe from Vala, so really trying to focus on that damage versus Lockdown, and then Tranquility from Malfurion. Meanwhile, Lightning Breath actually from Diablo, so that's the first time we've seen that instead of the Apocalypse. Water Elemental, Emerald Wind from Brightwing, and the Wailing Arrow and Archon. So here we are with the next set of temples. I always want to say tributes, and you're just kind of splitting them, but actually Flick of the Wrist is leaving the mid one. They're going to come down and try to contest the spot one. ETC is going to have to stage dive in very soon, and this is going to be tough, guys. They're coming in here. There goes the Odin, but he's pretty far up there. Jim taking a lot of damage already, dies very quickly. Stage dive ETC is now in the fight, and they're taking a lot of damage, but Vala went down so fast. This is going to be really tough for them. Now, Azure Fire is getting really low. Schooled slow too, but staying really far out in the back. D-Money is going to go down, and Technic and CGGG are going to have to get away. Really cool how Flick of the Wrist actually decided to leave their temple and come get this one, and now we'll be able to go back up to mid.
Yeah, really interesting that ETC stayed there to grab vision, just a few seconds more to grab vision on this middle watchtower, and just those few seconds of him not being in that team fight cost them dearly. So again, we're seeing that stage dive is very useful in theory, but the timing of it has to be just right for it to be useful, otherwise it can be a detriment.
Lyricals actually got tossed by the cleave of that minion a little bit, but Jim and Technic not quite close enough to capitalize on that. Lyricals is fairly low, and Jaina is very squishy, but yeah, Jim is just taking a lot of damage already. Here's another team fight. Talos throws Technic. This time Azure Fire again taking a lot of damage. Brightwing pushes her right back into the damage of Lyricals and again goes down. Jim's trying to get it out while dealing a lot of damage, but that's on Diablo. He's so tanky. It's very difficult when that's the person you have to focus. And while losing Toronto once again, they've got to get out because not only are they down a person, but they don't have the level 13 talents that Flick of the Wrist has.
Yeah, right now Eclipse with 3 forts, while Flick of the Wrist can boast 6 forts. So they really are in dire need of changing the structure advantage here. What they're going to have to do in order to do that is make sure that they really don't let these temple phases go by without really dominating. They're going to fall back and take some mercenaries. They've got to also watch their experience as they're falling behind. There's a level 14 for Flick of the Wrist that will soon be 15. They do have those level 13 talents. Eclipse does not yet have their level 13 talents and is looking for any way to eke out an advantage. It looks like that boss was tempting them, but luckily they will not fall into that trap. They will go to their siege camp instead. Eclipse, again, trying to just grab as much experience, get to that level 13, and maybe, hopefully, win a team fight, get a temple, do something to kind of change the tides here.
Actually, we've got Tals and D-Money once again fighting here on bot. Tals is a little bit out of position, but so is that. We're going to have to really watch out with that Odin. He's going to take a little bit of damage from Jaina. Here comes Brightwing, is going to drop the Emerald Wind and then sprint away. D-Money is taking a lot of damage there right underneath the fort and is going to go down. And with the Lightning Breath from Tals, actually, everyone's going to try to run away from that. But Lyrical's actually sprinting into engage. That's a confident Jaina right there.
Yes, she is.
Yes, CG's taking a lot of damage, meanwhile, from Schooled, and Sharonda gets taken out as well. This is a huge fight. There goes the Tychus, and now only 2 people left. This is going to be a free boss for Flick of the Wrist.
So this is one of those situations where Flick of the Wrist is like, all right, we know that Eclipse can't do anything to stop us. We know that they can't steal this from us. We know where they are, and we know how many of them there are. We can take this boss, and that boss is nothing to sneer at. It is going to do a lot of damage.
Yes, it definitely will, and it will be going straight for the keep too. There's only 1 tower up actually on bot before it will be going there, and so we're going to see Flick of the Wrist actually possibly push a little bit with this. They know they can get a lot done, especially if Schooled is using the hero trait there to allow to keep the towers and keep from attacking the golem, and so they're definitely going to be favoring pushing, at least for now. There is a temple that's up and both tanks are there. ETC does kind of have the advantage there because he can stage dive back though.
Yeah, tank fight, and he does stage dive back. He's going to make the choice to defend and allow Diablo to go ahead and take this temple. Now, again, this is the best of two bad choices. They have to defend against this boss, and they also have to be mindful of that temple. So they will take that boss down, and they will be running toward the temple to try to mitigate the amount of damage it can do if left unattended.
The sprint from Brightwing and Jaina is really allowing them to get out of those shady situations, especially when she has to run in and drop the Emerald Wind. But here we go with another fight. The Odin is down. Radlack's taking a lot of damage. She's going to drop the Emerald Wind, but is getting so low. But Tychus is already dropped, as is Vala. Man, the damage coming out of Flick of the Wrist is unreal, as Technic and Tyrande also dropped very quickly. A 3-level damage, or a 3-level lead, is a lot of extra damage.
Wow, just so hot right now, are Sylvanas and Jaina together. They are doing all sorts of damage. At this point, with level 17 for Flick of the Wrist and almost 18, and Eclipse following behind there, down a talent level as well as almost 4 levels at this point, it's going to be really hard for them to come back. In order to do that, I mean, we could say they need to win a team fight, but at this point, that might not be something they're even capable of doing. What do you think they should be trying to do at this point, Gilly?
With such a level lead, yeah, they're really going, it's going to be tough, because even if you could get some team fights, the problem is also temples, the problem is your structures. They've got one keep exactly, and it's at half health. They have just taken out a fort thanks to the awesome Winions, you might say, but it's going to be a huge uphill battle. This map is one that can be known for snowballiness at times, and they're really going to have to not get engaged upon. Here they come again. D-Money does grab the sieges, but is getting thrown around for his efforts. Oh my gosh. Lyricals deal so much damage to CGGG, just taking out Tychus so fast. ETC does jump in, trying to stop them a little bit, but it just as instantly takes a lot of damage himself. Now the Odin and Azure Fire are way out of position, get targeted down so fast, and the burst from Flick of the Wrist is just killing everybody. Tyrande's down now, as is Tychus. D-Money taking a lot of damage, will be the next to fall, even while sitting in the middle of that Tranquility. This will be the last keep. There goes Technic being thrown in. This will be game as well.
Yeah, interesting that, as you mentioned, Eclipse may have wanted a different kind of heal here, and they chose to ban Rhaegar off first. I wonder if there would have been any difference if they had Rhaegar on their side as opposed to Malfurion, a little bit more of an aggressive type of heal, a little bit more of a game-changing type of heal. But Sylvanas and Jaina together did prove to be a very frightening combo.
Yeah, it's interesting to me to ban the Rhaegar because we haven't seen Uther, who was definitely changed a lot, but still very strong. So it's interesting to me to pick the Malfurion, who just doesn't seem to be getting quite enough heals. As we talked about before, there are more over time instead of, I mean, they are great heals, but they're not burst heals by any means like Rhaegar and Uther. So very interesting choice there. Unfortunately, he wasn't quite enough for the Brightwing, actually, especially with the Emerald Wind even. So didn't even see the blink heal there, making that work thanks to the damage potential from Jaina and Sylvanas. So that'll be it. Flick of the Wrist will move on to face Goat Gaming in the finals.
Yeah, very interesting, actually, pointing out that Brightwing was the sole healer for that team. Tassadar is a support, but doesn't really do anything in the way of healing. Can shield and do a lot of other really cool things that are support-wise. But Brightwing really holding it down for that team and managing to keep two of the squishiest characters in the game nice and healthy.
Yeah, Tassadar, he does take Healing Ward, and I believe that he took that there. But yeah, I mean, the Brightwing heals actually nearly doubling the heals from coming out of Malfurion. So I actually will probably go back in and check out that build. I want to look at it a bit more. I think, but I mean, really it comes down to positioning for Brightwing. You have to be in the right spot because your heals emanate from around you. And so it's so important that you're right where you need to be in keeping people alive, because you can't just throw something like Uther or Rhaegar for the most part, and especially when you don't have blink heal. Really making that work. I'm impressed.
We've seen a lot of that close quarter gameplay or that formation being really important for teams this week. There's not been a lot of spread out gameplay that has really worked for teams. So we'll see if that also takes place in the finals, which will now be Flick of the Wrist against Goat Gaming. So, you know, throw your horns up for the goats and flick your wrist for Flick of the Wrist. And I guess we'll see you in the finals, eh, Gilly?
We will. We will be right back, guys, for the finals of the Heroes Hype Amateur Series Week 7.
Oh god.
Turn all your sorrows into gold. Ignite the fire in your soul. Miles and miles we're chasing dreams, living with our young hearts free. breaking into colors for miles and miles and miles. We're floating through it all. Floating through it all. Floating through it all. Floating through it all. Floating through it all.
Oh snaps, guys! Welcome to the Heroes Hype Amateur Series. We are at the finals. I am Gillyweed and this is Anna.
Hey guys, I'm really excited for this final match. We have Goat Gaming, who's a previous champion, coming up against Flick of the Wrist, who just had a decisive victory in the third of a best of 3 against Eclipse.
Exactly right. These two teams have faced quite a few other teams to get to this point, and it looks like they're about to start their draft on Cursed Hollow, so let's hop into that.
Now this match will be a best of 3 as well. The rest of the matches, aside from the semifinals and the finals, are best of 1s in the Heroes Hype Amateur Series, which, in case you've never watched before, is a series that is built to try to give teams who are not pro teams a chance to test their skills, a chance to get tournament experience, and casters like Gilly and myself to get some experience as well. So this is supposed to be a safe and learning place for people who just want to learn a little bit more about heroes as well as viewers or as players.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're so thankful that we've been given the opportunity to learn to cast thanks to Heroes Hype, because that's something that both Anna and I have always wanted to do. So be sure that you guys go and thank Heroes Hype for these awesome games, for the opportunity for these teams to be able to play in a tournament atmosphere, even though, you know, they're not able to quite compete in the main tournaments. They still have something that they're able to experience that atmosphere as well, and that's here. So follow them on Twitter and Facebook and follow their website. They've got some awesome news for you in the Heroes world as well.
It looked to me like Flick of the Wrist ran out of their time pool on that first ban. Am I seeing something weird, or did that actually happen?
And then banned Falstad, and I'm wondering if...
That must have been a random ban.
I've already seen a Sorry Casters 1658.
Ah, okay.
So we'll just switch this and
oh, there we go. That looks a lot more reasonable. Wait a minute, though. I see a first ban Kerrigan out of Flick of the Wrist.
Now let me explain this a little bit. So Go Gaming has first pick, first ban, and they banned the Illidan, which is pretty standard. Now there is a member of Go to Gaming His name is Equinox, who plays a mean Kerrigan. We saw it last week, and it was terrifying. And Flick of the Wrist must know this because they're not even going to chance it. They've banned out Kerrigan immediately.
That's awesome to see these teams getting to know each other a little bit, and that really is mimicking what you would see in a pro tournament, of course, knowing if there's a player on a team that really can do serious things with a specific champion. I love Kerrigan, so it's just nice to see her face, even if it's a banned face.
Well, it's too bad that you won't be able to see, but if you weren't able to catch some of those games, I would highly suggest checking out some of the ones from last week because it was a bit scary. So moving on, we've got a first pick of Jaina from Go Gaming and a follow-up by Rhaegar and Sylvanas from Flick of the Wrist.
Very cool. We've seen the strength of Rhaegar. We've seen the strength of Sylvanas. Sylvanas and Jaina not ending up on the same team, of course, this time, but Rhaegar and Sylvanas are going to be cool together. Rhaegar can do a lot of healing. Sylvanas can do a lot of damage. You really like to have that together. We don't see a full-on healer with Jaina yet. We probably will. But then ETC coming out for Flick of the Wrist, they seem to like to use ETC as their tank. We can also know that Stage Dive will be a great asset when it comes to Cursed Hollow.
Yeah, I mean, we typically, I think, a lot of times see the stage dive. Occasionally we'll see a mosh pit here as well, just because of the tight quarters of the places where they'll be fighting, especially around those tributes. And Goat Gaming picking up the Tyrande and Vala, so really rounding out their damage dealers there. They've got some really good range, especially too, which means that they're able to stand back a little bit. They don't have to try to have somebody who's going to go straight in to the battle and possibly take a lot of damage. They can kind of stay back a little bit more, unless, of course, ETC is there to kind of power or push them in just a little bit. Flick of the Wrist has one more pick here, probably going to either pick up maybe a Tassadar or another damage dealer here before moving on, and Goat Gaming will get their last two. Oh, actually, gonna pick up that Brightwing once again.
Flick of the Wrist loves their Brightwing, and we definitely don't mind. Brightwing was one of both of our first favorite characters, so nice to see Brightwing's face as well. It's a little nostalgic seeing Brightwing and Kerrigan so close to each other on a screen, Gilly.
It is. It's almost like we're there, Anna, except we're here, which is also just as good.
It's pretty good. I offered to play for one of the teams earlier when they had me in the wrong slot. They didn't take me up on it, though. It's really weird.
They obviously haven't seen your Diablo.
Well, speaking of Diablo, looks like Goat Gaming is going to round it out with Uther and Diablo. So there's that Uther pick you were looking for, Gilly. Uther being very strong, being able to do a lot of things as well as heal, and actually offers a bit of tankiness as well. So going alongside Diablo, being able to really protect all of the squishy little damage dealing ladies that they have on the rest of their team. So now Brightwing was the last pick for Flick of the Wrist. They're going to complete that out. They definitely don't need another healer. They've got Brightwing and Rhaegar, so we're probably going to see some damage coming out for Flick of the Wrist.
They're going to want some serious damage here to deal with Vala, Tyrande, and Jaina. We're going to be doing a lot, and I'm looking at what they'll want here. Hopefully somebody, I would say, like Sylvanas does a lot of damage, but is not typically known for being really bursty the way like Jaina is when she throws down all of her talents. So maybe something like that, or something you can throw out constant damage that would also be good. It's funny, we have not seen any Sergeant Hammers lately, but we could maybe see something like that. Maybe Zagara even. Who knows? Oh, yes! Oh my goodness! Dreams coming true!
We're seeing a Falstad. Gilly, why? Why are we seeing a Falstad?
Well, they needed more damage, and on top of that, he actually is, especially with his heroic ability, Shock and Awe, I can't remember the new name of it. Hinterland Blast can really burst down, especially if they've got like Vala and Jaina and Tyrande in a line. Which, funny you mentioned a line, myself, because that's where everyone typically fights, is in a line on this map. It's really awesome. This is a great place for Hinterland Blast because everyone is typically fighting in corridors, which is perfect for Hinterland Blast.
Well, besides that, Flick of the Wrist is now team mobility. You have potentially Stage Dive if you want it. You've got Brightwing who can transport all over the map as quickly as someone else could mount. And you've got Falstad as well, who has also similar global mobility. So this team can change places very quickly. And in a game where you're looking to find a tribute on the top or bottom of a map, that is invaluable.
Oh yeah, they're going to be able to be right where the action is whenever they need to be. The stage dive, phase shift, and global mount do take just a couple of seconds to sort of rev up before they get there. But not only that, but they can actually even use it to get out of a dangerous position as well, flying and phase shifting and the stage dive also. Really going to be able to take advantage of mobility. Probably will see Bribe on the Brightwing as well. We saw them really use that to great effectiveness on this map versus Eclipse, I believe, as well. We'll have to see if Falstad will go for that Bribe. Probably not. Probably going to go for more damage dealing, but that's something that will definitely be helping them out.
Yeah, and Cursed Hollow, we've played this map quite a few times tonight, but if by some chance you were just joining us, Cursed Hollow will be cursed by the Raven Lord if one team manages to grab 3 tributes. You have to channel those tributes in order to grab them, and what usually happens is that we see a lot of team fighting around the tribute spawning points, of which there are 6, 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. This is one of the, one of the maps that I think most players really like the most because they feel a sense of balance on it. There's a lot of cool different techniques you can use on it. But let's introduce our teams really quickly here. On Goat Gaming, wearing the blue trunks, we have Base Drop playing Jaina, Mad Timmy on Uther, Pythix on Vala, Equinox on Tyrande, and Curse Fury, Sierra's Fury, how do they pronounce it, on Diablo?
It's Curse Fury, or just
Okay,
Fury.
good.
You got it, you got it. And then, of course, on Flick of the Wrist, we just saw them, but once again, Towels is on that ETC, Schooled is on the Sylvanas, Lyricals on the Falstad, E-Dubs on Rhaegar, and Radlac once again on his favorite Brightwing. Look at that cute little
So
Brightwing.
tell me a little bit about anything you know from last week with Goat Gaming. Anything that we should be on the lookout for?
Well, if Equinox gets Kerrigan, that's a good sign. They really got a good cohesiveness. You can tell that they've practiced a lot together. Now, this is last time Mad Timmy wasn't with them. This time they've got Mad Timmy with them. So that is somebody new, something to take a look at. But once, like right away, you see them trying to set up for a possible gank right here in the party lane in mid. So really just being aggressive, something you'll definitely see. And there goes the throw on Schooled, followed up right away from the stun with Equinox, but able to get away thanks to the Banshees, and no first blood just yet.
We're seeing again kind of that middle party lane to start out the game, just one player each in the bottom and top. But the gank squad coming back and forth. Woo! Looks like Redlock will go down to Goat Gaming. Goat Gaming taking that first kill off of Flick of the Wrist.
Yeah, man, you'll notice that Equinox being right on with those stuns, and especially too with Mad Timmy and Uther stuns, they're going to be looking to stun off of Diablo's throws all game.
Yeah, and that's something that I love watching, kind of the displacement that Diablo has in spite of the fact that he's kind of a slow, like you said, a little bit of a plodder, is really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, and to be able to nail a timing like that where you've got the stun right off of the overpower means that they're really communicating. You're seeing them say, okay, I'm throwing, and then so that they can possibly be ready to stun right away. Now, Schooled is coming in. Pythix has to vault away, and seems like Equinox, he will also get away. Both teams trying to gear up to get those level 4 talents. Both teams pretty close, but I think that Goat Gaming will secure that first.
Yeah, Goat Gaming had a pretty awesome kind of triangulation going on I believe it was Radluck, one of those, that they thought maybe they had caught out. They had everyone closing in from all sides, but at the last second flick of the wrist, joined forces together, and all 4 was too much for Goat Gaming to take on with the few people they had. They're a little bit spread out right now, so they're not going to be doing any ganking. Looks like Lyricals and Radlock in the bottom lane with 3 players from Goat Gaming who will right now leave as they're going to run for that first tribute, it looks like.
And Falstad already flying up to join his teammates and heading up for that tribute. Something to note here is that both Uther and Tyrande have taken protective shields, so they're really going to be looking to protect the squishies. Unfortunately, Base Drop might not be there in time and does go down. And now Jaina is down for this first tribute fight. The respawn timer is very close, but it looks like they're going to try to zone and hurry and hopefully pick it up. Tyrande's Owl does stop E-Dubs from channeling it the first time, and now they're doing a good job of throwing a bunch of damage on Chris Fury, and they will pick up the first tribute. And now Pythic's getting very low. Oh my goodness. Actually, the really cool barrel roll into body block from Lyricals just helped secure that kill on Vala as well.
And some really sweet zoning, especially out of Vala and ETC during that tribute. They were, Curse Fury was really desperately trying to interrupt with some of those flames, but could not quite get close enough just because of the way that ETC and Vala had positioned themselves. Really awesome play from Flick of the Wrist, making sure that they are utilizing all the strengths of their team.
That's definitely right. Now, we do see Envenom for Sylvanas, but that's just one Envenom, so they're not really going to be able to stack that quite as effectively as we've seen on some of the other team comps. And then a multi-shot build for Vala, just going to be trying to deal a lot of damage to everyone in there. The power of the multi-shot too on this map is really good because you can sort of throw it out, and with the increased range, that means that you can throw it out to disrupt the channeling of tributes a bit easier without having to put yourself in too much of a bad position. And actually, Go Gaming's going to be the first one to pick up level 7 talents with Flick of the Wrist trying desperately, and there they go to pick them up just in time for this tribute.
Yeah, both teams now having level 7 and running into this tribute, but Flick of the Wrist being already in position over the tribute. So really trying to stake their claim, but not necessarily being protected by some of the rocks that we've seen on these other spawning points. So not necessarily getting anything out of being there first. It's going to be a 4-on-4 fight. It looks like also ETC and Jaina are on their way, but will they be in time to protect Go Gaming, who looks like they're on the run? Flick of the Wrist now has 5 versus 4. Jaina's running around the back. Will she be able to do any damage in time? It looks like she will join the rest of her team, but Flick of the Wrist is very, very healthy.
Oh, Edub's getting very, very low because of Pythix, but that pulled Pythix just out of position long enough for Lyricals to be able to secure the kill. And now Vala is down for another 10 seconds. Curse Fury is about halfway down, trying to get something done, not going to be able to do too much. Toronto does throw another owl and does hit Edubs, who is very low, is trying to just pick up this tribute. You should be able to secure it this time, and they'll pick up their second tribute, but it looks like there may be a fight. Curse Fury is going back in, trying to deal some damage to Schooled, but she's able to Banshee out, and now Towels is on base drop with Falstad, throwing his hammer madly at her, takes down Jaina as well. And Lyricals and Edubs both getting pretty low. Pythix is coming from the side, is trying to kill them, but they're still not dying. They're still staying alive. And now they're after Curse Fury. Diablo's about to go down. A stun from Toronto will stop them, save the day. But now, Pythix gonna have to run away as well. Whew.
Wow, that was quite a lot of action happening, and we're really seeing the synergy that Flick of the Wrist was looking for from these characters that are maybe a little bit more unexpected on behalf of GOAT Gaming. Do you think that GOAT Gaming might be suffering from not being used to playing against someone like Falstad and Brightwing together?
I'm not really sure, actually, but I think that Falstad is doing a great job of being in the right position. Positioning for Falstad could be a little bit funny because your Lightning Rod, whoever you throw it on, you want to kind of stay in the distance with them. You'll see there's sort of a range that you have to stay in. Hold that thought, Tells is back in, trying to catch Equinox, but now he's a little bit out of position. Here comes the Brightwing, though, and now Brightwing's here to save the day. Both teams are level 9, neither one have those level 10 talents yet. So far, Tells is trying to secure the tribute. They're doing such a good job of zoning, and actually they'll do it. They'll grab the first curse.
Again, with Vala and Vala and ETC being right in position to zone them out just in time for their teammate to grab the tribute, which is so important. You don't have to fight to the death over these tributes. You just have to make sure that the other team can't quite get in the way of you grabbing the tribute, and then they will leave just like that. They have now fallen back. They're looking for other places to grab advantages on the map. Only Base Drop and Equinox are here to defend the top, while all 4 members of Flick of the Wrist are here fighting, and ETC looks like he is looking to join them, going to be running up to also gank against the now 4 members of GOAT Gaming. Will it be a full team fight? Uther is still down at the very bottom and definitely doesn't have a way to get there soon enough. He's going to stay down there and try to soak experience, but it looks like with this curse especially, these structures are going to be headed down.
There goes the ETC stage dive. He does get stunned, but he's there to just throw people around. Pythix gets hit. Oh my goodness, everyone just barely able to avoid Lyrical's Hinterland Blast, but not getting away from that Lightning Rod very fast. Equinox is so low, and Envenom from Sylvanas will finish off Toronto just barely. And now Curse Fury is throwing Schooled. They do pick up the Sylvanas kill, and they will be able to take someone out, and the rest of them will be able to get away.
They are going to have to walk by these structures, which are now having ammo, but they should be able to finish them off well enough as they walk by, deciding instead to leave that turret up and get out of the way. They are going to go join Radlac, who's going to help them out with a little bit of healing. And Uther's still downtown, just soaking up the XP as much as they can. We do see a pretty even experience spread here for both teams, although it is 6 kills in favor of Flick of the Wrist as opposed to 2 in favor of Goat Gaming at the moment.
Yeah, Uther staying down there. They didn't have the heals that they wanted, but they did keep the fort alive, so just barely hanging on to those structures. Now everyone, typical of what happens after a curse, are going to go merc up, try to turn the map in the color of their team. And that's what we're seeing, as looks like Goat Gaming will be the first to start going after some of these tougher boss mercs.
Looks like they probably will take their boss. Oh, it looks like Flick of the Wrist might be interested in trying to contest their boss instead of going for their own. Lyrical's coming in first to kind of poke. They will be able to capture the boss, but will they suffer in this team fight for it? ETC jumping right in. E-Dubs following up with lots of healing ready at the ready, being able to heal up. Oh, but will this Starfall take them too low? Radlock looks very, very low at this point, but pulling out the healing and the shields. They will not quite go down. They managed to survive that in this case. In fact, 1 has fallen for Goat Gaming and none for Flick of the Wrist. Although, they didn't really accomplish much because the boss is on its way. They managed to get some people low, but only 1 kill in that team fight is probably not quite as much as they had hoped to do there.
Man, they got everybody so low because Falstad had the perfect Hinterlands Blast. Everyone was sort of gathered up in this one little corner, and he was able to throw down the Hinterlands Blast. So it did at least keep his team from losing anyone else. Now, Bastrop and Equinox are coming in. They want to take out this Falstad. Falstad has gathering power. If they can take him out, that's going to neutralize some of the stacks that he has of gathering power, and that's going to make him just a little bit less deadly, but they're not able to catch him. And that builds on the positioning I was talking about before with Falstad. Oh, I have to wait once again anytime I talk about this. Radlight quickly goes down. That is a kill on Brightwing, and Goat Gaming are climbing back into this now. We've got a tribute, and they're about to hit level 13.
Yeah, it looks like Goat Gaming is going to be in position and ready to grab this tribute. Again, this is not one that's surrounded by rock, so being in position right away is not necessarily something that would immediately give them power. It looks like they're going to be kind of looking above them, and they notice that it looks like Flick of the Wrist isn't too interested in this tribute. They're going to grab that. It's going to be fine. They're running up mid, and they're looking to potentially contest what they think the other team is doing, which is grabbing the boss, but it looks like Flick of the Wrist is spread out a little bit, ready to engage there. They're going to... Goat Gaming's going to go ahead and run toward top here. They're going to defend this wave and presumably maybe push against top as well.
Yeah, both teams very interested in this golem, but neither really wanting to make the first move in it. Both are 13. They know that tributes are up. Now Christopher's coming in, does throw School. She doesn't have Banshees and does die before Rhaegar can heal her. Now the Starfall dealing a lot of damage, plus the Lightning Breath will secure the kill on Rhaegar. Next is Falstad. There goes the stacks of gathering power. It hurts my heart. And with only ETC and Brightwing left, now Go Gaming are going to be able to secure this golem. And look how lucky they are. A tribute right next to it is spawning.
A team could not hope or pray for anything more than an advantage over Golem and a tribute spawning right next door. That was even a rhyme. That was the best moment of my casting life. And probably the best moment of Equinox's life, as Equinox will grab this tribute. That will put them at 2 tributes of 3. They only have 1 more until they need a curse. Their opponents, Flick of the Wrist, do not have any tributes at this moment, so they are not in danger of being cursed with the next tribute. They have a lot of room on this map to do what they like, and right now what they like is to push this top lane.
Their ETC is jumping in. There goes Tells. A lot of damage right away. Hits Pythix, who does get a shield. Now Radlac is going to try to Emerald Wood everyone out. Does have to get healed for his efforts, but Diablo dies. Mad Timmy is going to be the next to die. Now Tells is in trying to catch somebody else. Pythix is out of mana, as is Equinox really after that stun, but is able to mount up, and now they're going to be able to get away. Flick of the Wrist will be able to head down to this tribute, but it's not in a great position for them. They do have Uther down for 20 seconds still, so they may be able to just engage in and try to get a kill, or maybe they'll be able to pick it up, but this positioning is going to be tough and is going to allow Goat Gaming to be able to stop them for a bit.
Yeah, Goat Gaming not in great position right away, but certainly bringing people in when it counted. ready to take down Rhaegar right away, and they're going to grab that tribute, which will be a curse for Goat Gaming. Again, remembering that they had that momentum, they needed a little bit of space to use on this map, and they're going to be pushing with this curse. It looks like in the bottom lane, Tal's not able to deal with all of them by himself, is going to run away. It looks like Jaina is up here trying to grab the Bruiser camp alongside some of her friends, trying to make a little room for themselves, not choosing to defend this bottom lane and instead take advantages elsewhere.
Yeah, they really just had to give that up, and look up top. You can see they're pinging. They already have a push in on this keep, which is taking a lot of damage from the minions. But meanwhile, while they're defending that, Goat Gaming is just going to push on bottom, going to take down this gate, and at least, if not put damage on the keep, open it up for damage later on. And here they come. They're putting a little bit of damage on the keep. We'll have to see. Here comes the ETC, is going to jump in on top of everybody. Going to take a lot of damage right away, but pushing Equinox toward his team, as does